a public hearing must be held. This constitutes a public hearing on the report, and a maximum of 12 individuals who wish to address the board on this item will be heard. Those who wish to speak to this report should pull a speaker form from the slots located on the pillar in the rear of the boardroom. Speakers will be heard in numerical order as indicated on the speaker form. We have one speaker to this item. The person holding speaker card number 1. Maybe no one has speaker 1, that's fine. Moving on, tab 38,
wait a minute.
approval of minutes.
You got a speaker, it's a public hearing.
Speaker number 2.
Yep, that's it. For you guys that never keep track of anything. Hello, lawbreakers of every kind of law. Can't maintain order. Let the police run wild, hack my computer, steal my flash drive, don't follow the law. Giving these guys a ride when they stealing money in charter schools like PLOS. And you don't follow Williams or nothing. You don't follow John Smith. You don't follow Williams. You don't follow the law. You got 3 lousy attorneys back in here, Galatzan, Holmquist, and Ratliff, who don't know the law, can't do nothing. These people couldn't survive in a real court of law to save their life, and boy, you're going to see more later when it comes to iPads, baby. You ever heard of the Lockyer opinion? You're in for a bad ride legally and financially, I will tell you right now. And if I could do it to you on Williams, and if I could do it to you on Chanda Smith, I'm going to do it. Listen close, people. They say in their budget, special ed is 4.7%. It's 11.47. They tell you special ed is stealing from the general fund. 24% of all revenue to this district is categorical special ed, which you could steal through RTI. I can legally steal 60% of the money, and you can do it in any one of these programs if you have attorneys that play silly, illegal games like go on here every day. Want the proof? I'll put it up. You guys can never produce a thing. You sit here and watch them hack my computer, not one of you put anything in the mail, in your records, and you watched it happen here. And Mr. Vladimir, you let it happen. And guess what? You broke federal and state law, and I'm going to prosecute you all. And if I could take you down on anything else, I'm going to do it to this criminal organization, because only this board member is standing for the children right now. You, Mr. Kaiser, played a game with your Apple stock. Yes, it's 1C. Mr. McNair not sitting here now. It took me 5 minutes to find it. You guys aren't that slick. You think you're slick. And you, Crain, I'm going to put you in jail for hacking my computer. I still got 32 seconds, dude. You know, and I got some more time coming here. It's only getting started, because you don't do your legal work. You're a bunch of arrogant nuts. We used to call people like you in the aerospace business PhDs, magna cum laude, couldn't read their own prints. We call them educated idiots. Just because you've got a degree, because you got a badge, doesn't mean you deserve it or should be making the money. And people, guess what? They got 11,685 here, they're not broke.
Thank you.
Per student.
Next speaker. No more speakers on this item. On tab 38, we have one speaker. Approval of minutes.
That's just the start.
Welcome. Thank you very much. In the minutes today that you're approving November 13th, 2012, on page 1, November 13th, 2012, 4 months before the RFP for the Common Core Technology Project Plan. You'll note on page 1 and 2, the presentation presented to the board is described to you, particularly particularly Melrose Elementary School, which is described here as K-2 having a 2-to-1 ratio of students to tablets and laptops, and a 1-to-1 ratio for grades 3 to 5, and it will also describe the software that is presented to the board the day before this project was brought to the Bond Oversight Committee. So these minutes today also have, for your ratification, good memory check on the December 11th, 2012 minutes, which is a couple months late on a report from Mr. Aquino to the board in response to Ms. Galatzan's expanding digital education resolution and the working group that Mr. Aquino led with respect to the process. This expanding digital education resolution working group consisted of members of the ITD, Office of Curriculum and Support, and school site leaders. I think the organizations may have been contacted, but the minutes, we look forward to getting minutes of those to make sure that the various options were presented, both in terms of hardware and software, and any relevant studies that will support the board's actions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tab 39, I have a statement to read. This constitutes a public hearing on the charter petitions for Community Preparatory Academy, Summit Charter Middle School, Teach Tech Charter High School, West Academic Leadership Academy, YPI Valley Public Charter High School. A maximum of 12 individuals who wish to address the board on this item will be heard. Those who wish to speak to the petition should pull a speaker form from the slots at the rear of the building. Speakers will be heard in numerical order. So we have 2 speakers. If the person holding speaker card number 1, tab 39, could come forward. If the person holding, there's only 2 cards. Speaker card number 2.
That's me. George Mazzetti, Director of Policy, Congress for Racial Equality in California. First, I want to know, why are you ever approving charter schools, which are supposed to be operated independently, with 200 to 400 students? They never work out economically. Do you people know anything? Have any of you ever looked in the CD website and looked at these small school districts and what funding they get to actually operate? You guys are clueless. Do you know some of these charter schools are getting 3,200, some are getting 9? 9 is Roosevelt, over 8 is Santee. Do you know why Marshall Tuck is gone? Because I caught them stealing half the money to those schools, people, and they're running out of money. If you ever looked in their financial stuff, why don't you shut off PLOS? Why do you think Marshall Tuck ran? Because I banged him stealing money. And I banged Santee stealing half the money. 4,600 to Roosevelt. 9,000 I got Marshall Tuck saying. So they picked up an extra G from the year before they took over to the year they took over. And 4,600 goes to the classroom. Santee, about the same thing. Ooh, you should have seen those parents. So I'm asking you, since none of you know the money, since your CFO sat here and told you you had over $3 billion in the June 18, 2013 budget, I said to you, she's off $1 billion, you all sat here and went, ooh, I don't know the difference. Now, how do you run a school district when you don't know plus or minus $1 billion, dudes? Your budget is 6.43, dummies. Over here in the press at 8.7. Duh. You never look at anything. None of you look in the budget. Why do I know more about your budget than you do and the law? Why don't you ask yourself a question? Nobody pays us to do this. What's your problem up there? You're a bunch of jokers. You're operating as an organized crime, RICO, legal, technical, federal organized crime operation, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Board members, there were a couple of questions on these items. I made a note. There's a question on tab 15. 4 major repair projects. That may have been some lot.
Yeah, I can go on off the top of my head, quoting numbers for different years' budgets across the nation. And then we got this guy.
Ms. Rapp.
There was a question that there were 4 major repair projects, but then you've got 16 and 17 that also look like they were major. I wonder why they weren't all together rather than separated this way. 16 and 17 to me are also major, so is there a reason why they're separated?
Yes, 16 deals with the single item, which is Chatsworth High School. 15 dealt with the high schools of Huntington Park, Van Nuys, Frost Middle School, and San Fernando Middle. And you said 17?
It's just Chatsworth, and 17 is just Berg. I just wondered why they were different and not bundled all together, that's all, in terms of funding.
We'll ask Mr. Hobart in terms of the separation of them.
We can come back to that rather than hold up the meeting. Yeah.
Mr. Hobart, you might want to come down. On tab number 18, Ms. Ratliff had a statement that she wanted to make.
Right, and I think when Mark comes down, he could actually just also piggyback on it, if you will. I just want to make sure, my understanding is that synthetic turf, while very appealing in many ways, actually we do need to be planning for replacing it within 10 years, and it's extremely expensive. My understanding, I believe, when he comes down, it may be $1 million. So I just wanted to put that on the table so that we recognize that we're going to have to replace it in 10 years. None of us may actually be here in 10 years, but the turf will need to be replaced in 10 years. But he seemed to feel like we were not necessarily putting aside the money that we need to be putting aside for it. And so we need to take care of that.
They never put up such a long term. They're using bound money.
Mr. Hobart?
She's so stupid. Wow. 14 slips.
Mark Hobart, Chief Facility Executive. Ms. Lamont, your question was why these were divided into 3 separate projects? There's no specific reason. Part of it was the time that they were identified and the funding sources that we had available and the agencies. One was as a result of an outside inspection that was done after another project was developed. The seismic projects were all bundled together under a different program. It's just different programs, and it's how they came to us and how we bundled them.
And hang on, Ms. Ratliff, did you have a question?
You want to just comment on the need to put aside money or
Is this
somehow
a
have money?
synthetic turf
Yes.
issue? We've had an active program where we've installed a lot of synthetic turfs. I made mention of the concern that we have that synthetic turfs generally last about 10 years. So when we install one, we're actually taking on a commitment that we're going to have to meet in the future. And one of the things that I've been counseling board members on, as we do make this commitment, it's important for us to recognize that there's an expense that's going to come 10 days from that time. So it would be prudent of us as managers of our facilities to be ensuring that we're setting aside money for that eventual replacement. And
10 days?
10 years.
Why not 10 days? Whatever, you got bond money.
We have a lot of partnerships we create with people, and it's important to understand that this isn't free use forever, that there is a replacement cost associated with it, and that we're encouraging that we have proportional sharing of that future replacement cost in the 2-year period.
Thank you.
Mr. Zimmer? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I was at Marshall High School a few months ago and saw that the synthetic turf field there was splitting apart. How long has it been there, and is it a warranty?
I'll have to check on the specifics. I'm not sure the length of that project, but we have had some problems in some areas where it was splitting, and we brought them in under warranty. If it has exceeded the warranty period, then we would still have to pick that up. I believe it's still got to be covered under the warranty because our warranty does cover it for 10 years. And I believe that was less than 10 years when we installed that truck.
Thank you.
Mr. Hogar, is there problems with all synthetic turf or the synthetic turf that we have selected?
We've selected the highest durability of synthetic turf, so we would have
The highest advertised turf. What I'm asking is, are we looking at, is this a problem all over the country, or is it a problem in certain areas with certain vendors, frankly?
There are many people that make synthetic turf. As part of our due diligence, we've done evaluations and tried to get the highest durability and highest standard.
Sure.
Everyone's going to eventually have to replace it. There's no system that's guaranteed for more than 10 years.
I understand. So, and you've talked about the expense in a 10-year span, and I would imagine, unless our vendors are not providing a quality product that they'd advertise through the procurement process that they have, that our range would probably be somewhere between 7 years and 12 years, just if we were splitting the difference and getting an average. I absolutely understand that we're taking on a liability, but the way it's been explained to me, frankly, by folks in the facilities division, is that relative to the sodding, resodding, fertilizing, watering, maintenance, from many different angles, synthetic with its problems is a better alternative, relatively speaking, environmentally and otherwise, than traditional grass and sod surfaces.
It can be a good investment. There is maintenance that's still required on that. A lot
Sure,
of people don't
sure.
recognize it, and if you do not do the maintenance, you decrease the life that you'll have and potentially void the warranties. It's almost as difficult to maintain as regular grass. The advantage comes in the durability and the number of people who can play on it. Where you take a typical football field, you could get 2 or 3 games a week and it'll start to show wear. We can practically play around the clock.
And what about, do we have any research in terms of injury and things like that? I mean, I know our fields were really causing some serious situations.
Certainly, there's a substantial lower amount of injury on these, although when you do have the tripping hazards, when the carpet comes up, it's a problem. We've had some problem lately with the material clumping and creating problems, but all those taken into consideration. The main point is we can get a lot more users so we can help share those costs, but only if we recognize that they are costs, and that's why I try to bring that awareness.
I understand. Thank you very much.
We're now ready for our vote. We've had it moved and seconded on the consent calendar. Is that correct, Jeff? Yes. Anyone opposed? So ordered. Thank you so much.
Mr. President, could we get the speakers on item 35 that we had asked to be heard after the consent calendar? Without objection from my colleagues. Yeah. It is an initial announcement, but we had a request for speakers. Yes, not a vote.
Sure.
Yeah, and I had also